Y'all ready to take a journey back in time to about 100 years ago when I got these outdated slides, but back to the time of dinosaurs, they showed up, what was it, about 200 million years ago?
About 225 to 240, it's kind of
so that's a long
estimated.
Time. So, okay, so that's kind of interesting. So, like, the dinosaurs showed up 250 million years ago, which I guess it's kind of a time scale we can't really fathom. In addition to being the first dinosaur on screen, he's also credited as being the first ever cartoon character. So there was a lot of drawn dudes back then, beforehand, but he was the first one to actually have a character and do things. So what would happen is they'd take him on the road, and the projectionist would come out, and he would interact with Gertie. He'd be like teaching him to do tricks and stuff. So he'd be one of our classic dinosaurs. He's based on the dinosaur we call Brontosaurus. Now, there's a bit of argy-bargy about the name Brontosaurus, isn't there? Like, they took it away for a while.
Yeah, that's right. So for quite some time, Brontosaurus, the skull had never been found for Brontosaurus, so they actually took the skull of another dinosaur and put it on. And they came up with the name Brontosaurus, and then they finally found a skull to go with them, and they realised, well, actually, this is actually a dinosaur we actually call Apatosaurus. So they changed the name because Apatosaurus actually existed before Brontosaurus. The name had to go back to Apatosaurus. But now, 2 years ago, 2015, they did some research and found that it's actually 3 different species of Brontosaurus. So now Brontosaurus is back again.
I think that's really helpful, because you'll always get some smart aleck when you say Brontosaurus. Go, no, it's Apatosaurus. You can just take out that paper and go, actually, no, Brontosaurus is back. And in a way, Brontosaurus never left, because as far as a dinosaur movie is concerned, they've been one of the key players. Like, if we look back to 1933's King Kong, story of a lost island with a giant ape fighting all kinds of dinosaurs, there was a Brontosaurus in that too, but he wasn't your average Brontosaurus, in that there was a rather unfortunate sequence where he decided to eat a guy. Now, I don't know everything about dinosaurs, but surely that can't be right.
No, definitely not. The teeth from the Brontosaurus skull does show us that they were plant eaters. So they've got thick, broad teeth for chewing. So it's similar to our molars at the back of our jaw. So definitely not.
So he was a vegetarian, basically.
Yeah.
You know what else is kind of interesting about Brontosaurus in King Kong? Nobody ever said they saw the Loch Ness Monster with its big long neck sticking out of the water before King Kong came out. And the year afterwards, there were like 400 sightings of this Brontosaurus-shaped Loch Ness Monster. So I think it's a case of movies kind of influence what people see in real life. So good old Brontosaurus, he's making us think and dream. So when we move on to like the 1940s, not technically a dinosaur movie, but one of the most memorable scenes in Disney's Fantasia was this really epic scene where a T-Rex came down to hunt a bunch of dinosaurs, and in the end he has this fantastic fight with a Stegosaurus. And unfortunately for old Stegsy, it didn't end too well for him. But what I want to know is was that a fair fight? If they weren't met in real life, how would that work out?
They would never have met in real life, to be honest. Dinosaurs lived for 180 million years, but at different times. So actually there's 80 million years between when Stegosaurus existed and when the T-Rex existed. So they would never actually have met, they would never have fought. And we were just discussing this, one kind of mind-blowing fact is that there's only 65 million years between us and the T-Rex, and 80 between T-Rex and the Stegosaurus. So I see some smiles kind of going, so we're closer to the T-Rex.
So if I want to build a time machine, go back to meet T-Rex, I'll have to build an even better time machine and go back and meet Stegosaurus.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds like an awful lot of effort. So what
you're going to want it for this one.
What you're telling me is this beautiful image couldn't happen. There were no cave people being terrorized by dinosaurs, anything like that in BC.
No, sorry about that.
Well, damn it anyway. I was really looking forward
build an alternative.
I was looking forward to going back in time and seeing my loincloth-clad beauties, but I guess that's just not realistic. Oh well. So I suppose we're coming up to the halfway point here. So this movie here was a real game changer. The Land Before Time. Show of hands. Anybody seen it? Wow. Oh, it's an excellent movie. Even the kids have seen it. That's some damn good parenting.
This would have been my first childhood dinosaur movie. This got me into dinosaurs at a very young age. I was only a year old when this came out.
Wow.
I could cry. Yes, Spoiler alert.
This is a family show, okay? We don't want to bring up some bad suppressed memories, but what's kind of interesting. So yeah, like it was a lot of our first exposure to dinosaurs, really, in a cool way. And it was so successful that it actually became the highest grossing animated movie of all time at that point. So think about all those Disney classics. The Land Before Time actually got more people to go out to the cinema and watch it than any Disney or animated movie had before, which is really interesting. So we see like we've got like the herd, we'll call it. You know, we got our Brontosaurus, Triceratops, Stegosaurus. They're all moving in a herd. Now, is there any evidence to show that different kinds of dinosaurs would kind of move together and team up like that?
So we kind of can assume that when we find footprints of dinosaurs together, we can assume that if they were moving in the same direction, they were close together, they're from the same time period, that they were probably moving together. We also find a lot of fossils together, but there could be a lot of other reasons for that. So we're kind of relying on footprints. A lot of the large sauropods would have moved together.
What's the sauropod?
Oh, sorry. So sauropod would be our long necks. Like little foot. Like little foot. So different species of those would have been found kind of together, moving in the same direction, same speed as well.
Oh, cool. So was that like to their advantage to keep the likes of Allosaurus and T-Rex kind of away?
So it's kind of similar to what you would see on the African savanna plains, where you get all your antelope moving together with the buffalo, the water buffalo, and things like that. So it's protection. It's protection as well. I mean, when you see one start to run, you know, oh, there's a predator back there. Let's all run together. The bigger numbers there are, the less likely you are to be the one chosen to be eaten.
And that's why we're all in this room together, guys. So I said we'd be dishing out some prizes. So who wants some prizes? Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna like pick out some people, see if you've been paying attention, see if anybody knows their dinosaurs. Okay. So how about yourself there in the Barcelona jersey? You fancy winning a prize? I think you... No?
You put up your hand.
No.
Come on.
I don't want to... No. All right. Don't make me walk out there, guys. Oh, this is going... Okay, it's a small room. I'm a loud booker. I can do this anyway. All right, first up, we got a really cool Ceratosaurus toy from Jurassic World. You gotta go... That is just cool. Okay, so who can tell me what was the first cartoon character? Oh, this guy, Captain America. Captain America thinks he knows. That's correct. Gertie the dinosaur, the Brontosaurus. We have given out our first prize of the day. Enjoy that. Yeah. All right, who's up next? This is a nice one here. This guy is cool. He's actually a obscure dinosaur called Rugops. So, I know. I've got a question for you. This is a tricky one. What's your favorite dinosaur? That's correct. All right. Now this is cool. I think this is a real nice educational piece here. We got a Dinopedia, so it's like a book. There's some really cool illustrations, lots of nice facts written by the National Geographic. So I'm going to ask a question now. Okay, let's put up some hands. Who could tell me what kind of dinosaur is that in the picture there? Okay, yourself there. I hope you have a younger nephew that wants this.
I've got two sisters.
Okay. They like dinosaurs? They will.
Yeah. They will now.
They will now. Okay, what is it? Good man. Woo! All right, we got another cool one here. We got some incredible but true facts about dinosaurs. So I'm gonna say, see these guys in the screen there? What are they?
T-Rex.
That was close. What about this little guy over here? Kylo Ren, is it, I believe? Don't know. Pteranodon, yes, there is a All right, getting there. 2 more prizes left. Okay. We got dinosaur activity pack, so that's like stickers and all kind of cool stuff there. I got a question. Okay, how about yourself there, young man? I got a question. How about, What dinosaur had 3 horns? Yeah, Triceratops. Excellent work. Last but not least is a bucket O prehistoric animals. So I'm gonna say, what was the name of that hairy elephant guy that lived after the dinosaurs? Someone way down the back has put their hand up. Oh, why do they have to be down the back? Okay, you guys know it?
Woolly mammoth.
That's correct. You take your prize. Excellent. This is hard. Whoa, what happened? Okay. Where's the... So that brings us on. We're coming up to the 1990s now. So this is when the things, everybody thought dinosaurs are kind of just for kids, So that was, they made all these kids movies, like Don't Worry, Alright, Previous Theory was okay, Dinosaurs was awful, Dinosaur Story was fun in itself. Anyone seen that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. You heard bad things about it.
Look at reviews.
It's okay, especially not when I write them. It's harmless fun, but what is significant is that, much like The Land Before Time, there was a certain executive producer on it named Steven Spielberg, who dinosaur fans will know, he did something really spectacular in 1993. So we all went into the cinema, to watch a movie. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, look, there's something in the box. Oh, what's in the box? Oh, how scary could the thing in the box be, right? What is going on? Shoot! Jurassic Park. That was the day we learned that dinosaurs could be terrifying. But not only could they be terrifying and used to scare audiences, they could also be used to, I suppose, in a way, educate audiences. Because this was a really iconic scene in line here. This thing, when the big Brachiosaurus comes out, Ellie Sattler, who we have right here, says, this thing doesn't live in a swamp. Now, why is that line so significant?
So it's quite a minor line in it, and I don't think a lot of people would have actually realised it. But up until probably the 70s or 80s, it was thought that these big-bodied animals couldn't support themselves, that they couldn't stand upright without the weight of water, without being in water. So they thought that they lived in swamps. Now, if we thought about that logically, there's not big giant swamps everywhere for them to live in. So it doesn't make sense. But they thought that it was impossible. But we now know that it is. So this is the first movie to kind of show... It kind of shows that they're
active, running around. That
they can move quite quickly if they want to.
Which I suppose for movie makers is great because suddenly your monsters are a little bit scarier. But there was some great stuff for science. But there were some things in Jurassic Park that I think they just kind of made up. Like this guy. Like what entire nation is that? It's a Dilophosaurus, right? Was that a real thing? Because that is insane. Like, what is that?
Well, you've got to remember, movies have to take a little bit of artistic license with them. And they kind of, to make these dinosaurs look real and make us actually feel that these are real living animals, they kind of base them off real animals. So we do have a reptile known as a water dragon. No, not a water dragon, sorry. Help me out here, Michael. Frilled lizard, that's the one. That does do this when it's threatened. You can see them videos on YouTube, look it up later. So frilled lizard, so they go.
Cool. Can they spit or?
No, they don't spit though. That's kind of.
You never know. We might one day find a dinosaur caught in the act of spitting in a big, beautiful fossil. Hopefully someday. So this is what the Dilophosaurus would look like in real life. So he's kind of small in the movie, but there is a line. I think he says like, "Oh, I thought you were one of your bigger brothers," thinking, he's not dangerous, and then kablamo, spit in the eye. He's pretty much done then. So that was kind of cool. So Jurassic Park brought us a lot of cool new ideas and concepts about dinosaurs, and they brought that on with the second Jurassic Park movie, The Lost World, where we see this scene where there's the daddy T-Rex basically teaching the baby T-Rex how to hunt some poor businessman. Have we any evidence or ideas that maybe even big monsters like T-Rex might have been good parents? Right?
Yes, actually. It's, again, because we're only working on fossils, we've just kind of assumed that from what we see. But quite evidence-based anyway, so it's not really made up. But there has been one of the most famous T-Rex. Her name is Sue. She's got a lot of injuries, so she has broken bones. She's had infections in her jaw. There's no way she could have hunted food herself or even moved. And close by, a little baby and a male T-Rex were found nearby to her, so they assume that they must have helped her to live. There's also Albertosaurus, I believe it is, which are related. They're another species kind of related to the T-Rex. And they, about 12 fossils, I think, was found, all different ages, all living together. So it's assumed that they were living together in life, not just death.
So like a real big T-Rex family. Well, that's kind of interesting because we always see T-Rex running around, romping and stomping, biting other dinosaurs, eating other dinosaurs, and we never think that, oh, maybe they had a bit of a soft side. Maybe when they come home from a hard day's work, eating other dinosaurs, come home and play with the kids and stuff. I think that's a real sweet idea. I think. It's like, Daddy, will my arms ever grow long? No, so you'll just have to learn to deal with that. Daddy, what's extinction? Oh, never mind. So yeah, two really successful Jurassic Park movies, but then in 2001 we kind of moved on to Jurassic Park 3, which was the least successful Jurassic Park film, and a lot of people say it's because of this. This guy, because we just established that T-Rex wasn't such a bad guy, you know, we could all relate to T-Rex, love T-Rex, and then Spinosaurus came along and killed T-Rex. And it just seemed like a real waste of character development. So a lot of people just like get really angry online, like, and like, damn you, Spinosaurus, why are you killing my childhood? Like Spinosaurus, it's not even, it's make-believe. Is Spinosaurus a real thing? Could it have done that?
Spinosaurus is real, yes, definitely. I think T-Rex would have won though. T-Rex is smaller, unfortunately, and they wanted something bigger and scarier than T-Rex, so I think they did that with this movie. Spinosaurus has longer limbs, longer arms, so he can scratch. He's got much bigger claws, so can do much better scratching damage. Bigger in body size, bigger in weight. But
you're
what
not
T-Rex?
You're not giving T-Rex a good.
Hang on, I'm getting to it. T-Rex had a bigger bite force. It had a bigger jaw. The Spinosaurus kind of had a really long, narrow kind of jaw, and its teeth were kind of conical, so they were designed for catching fish. While T-Rex was designed for chasing prey and to tear through chunks of meat. Unlike the Spinosaurus. So I think definitely once T-Rex gets a bite and a hold on a Spinosaurus, that's when I think.
So that's game over.
That's when I think. But that's all you've got to do.
Yeah, because in the movie doesn't T-Rex get a bite in, but he kind of lets go. So in real life, once he gets in, that's game over.
I reckon so, especially if you get to the neck area.
Okay, so what you're saying is, if I ever have to fight Mike Tyson, even though he's bigger and stronger than me, I just have to get in there and bite him and just not let go. And then everything will be okay.
I'll bite you first.
Right?
I'll bite you first.
Oh yeah, very nice. Hopefully I've got a better bite force. I'll have to just do a bit of practice on that. And another thing that was kind of, well, maybe controversial at the time in Jurassic Park 3, you know, it might have been the best movie, but it got a lot of people talking, was it was the first mainstream movie to show our raptor friends here with feathers. Like, see those squirrels in the back? Those are actually supposed to be feathers. Because I think in the first Jurassic Park movies, in Grant go, oh, raptors might have more in common with birds and reptiles. So it's a cool idea. I mean, it looks real cool. I think so. Any evidence? Did they really have it?
Loads of evidence, absolutely loads. They had a lot more feathers than this, but a lot of people kind of don't want their dinosaurs with feathers. They feel that they don't look scary. So for a movie, they just went, oh, we'll please some of the experts by putting a few feathers on the head there. But they were absolutely covered in feathers. There's loads of fossils where the imprints have been found. So China is currently a very popular area for finding all of these. Germany as well, a place called Sonnenhofen, where you can get the feathers preserved, where you can actually see it exactly.
Cool. So was it just raptors, or were other? Because you know where I'm going here. I'm thinking T-Rex, feathers. What's the verdict?
Quite possibly. Yeah. There's a T-Rex relative found in China that is thought to have feathers. It would have come from a slightly colder area as well, so they think that it was more like a fuzz rather than feathers that we know from birds today.
Cool. So like a T-Rex and like a fur coat kind of.
Yeah.
So not only does T-Rex is now a family man, he feels the cold, he's getting a lot more reliable, and a sharp dresser, sharp teeth, sharp dress sense, Is there anything T-Rex can't do? So
Pick up litter.
So after Jurassic Park 3, it annoyed a lot of people. So Jurassic Park kind of cooled off in the Hollywood circles, but then after a while, people started we want another good dinosaur movie. So ask and we shall receive. So just there in 2015, it was Jurassic World, and this was one of the most successful films of all time. But I think some people like myself might say, this is kind of the movie where science kind of went out the window a little bit, because we already established the raptors were getting a little bit more realistic looking with their feathers, but here they are, bald as the day they were born here, So do you think that was a case of the filmmakers were just trying to appease people who just thought it looked silly, or?
Sort of. At the end of the day, they're trying to make a monster movie. They're not trying to make it realistic, but they do want you to kind of feel like they are animals at the end of the day as well. So they included a
Dinosaur says, "Damn your science! More movies."
So we already established people don't really like feathers on the dinosaurs for movies. They want more teeth. They want bigger dinosaurs. They want scarier dinosaurs. And there's a great line in this movie which I think kind of brings it all together. Where Claire, wasn't it?
The owner of the park, yeah.
She says to the shareholders and the investors that they don't look like how dinosaurs would have looked like. They make them how people want to see them. So they kind of cover their arses by doing that, by having that line in there.
That's actually a really clever line from a filmmaking perspective, because in the movie, the context, it works they're trying to appease the shareholders, whereas in our reality, they're actually just doing it to, I suppose, the moviegoers, the ticket buyers.
Yeah.
So I suppose that's it's a love-hate relationship we have with that. It's down in front. It's a love-hate relationship we have between those dinosaurs. Do you think it's for good or bad? I mean, it's not very scientific, but it might bring in more people to see movies about dinosaurs and might explore themselves.
Definitely. Jurassic Park, I think, kind of kicked it off in a major kind of way for a lot of people. It's kind of their inspiration for wanting to get into paleontology, which is the study of dinosaurs and fossils. And I think there was a big, massive explosion around that time, and it was insane. So movies definitely help, but I do think a lot of us would do with Jurassic Park.
Cool, that's great. So, but in addition to, I suppose, another thing that they did in Jurassic World, which is a bit mad, instead of just making dinosaurs and changing them, they went ahead and they created their own dinosaur. They basically mashed a bunch of other dinosaurs together and made a super unstoppable monster dinosaur, and then wondered why it escaped and killed everybody. So what, I think in the movie they said, people were getting bored of real dinosaurs. Surely such a thing could never happen. Do you think if we actually had a dinosaur zoo, would people actually get bored of it the way people think gorillas are boring? People are wrong, by the way. Gorillas are great. But, some people say tigers are boring and all. Oh, the zoo would be better if it had a dinosaur. So would this same person turn around one day and say the zoo would be better if it had bigger, more teeth dinosaurs?
I don't think so. Although Dublin Zoo just got their own dinosaur exhibit, and now suddenly it's packed out again. So possibly. But nobody's ever gotten bored of zoos, and zoos have been around for hundreds of years, and nobody's gotten bored of them. So I don't think we'd get bored of a dinosaur zoo all too quickly.
Well, I suppose there's only one way to prove it. So if any of you are scientists out there who study genetic research, get the finger out. I'm waiting on my dinosaur zoo. I will pay any price. I don't need a coupon day. Okay?
I'm trying my best here, okay?
Get back to work, you. So I suppose if we look at this Indominus Rex guy, I suppose we could maybe try to piece out what is he actually made of. I know there's I drew some stuff here trying to see what it is, but I'm guessing the body looks kind of T-Rex-ish, but the head looks kind of different. What kind of dinosaur does that look like?
Oh god, I think they just tried to make it stockier, didn't they?
Yeah, he's got the big arms, so maybe he's got a bit of, I don't know, Spinosaurus in him, because we said Spinosaurus has a big...
Yeah, but his would be a lot longer and thinner.
Okay.
I see you've got the Allosaurus kind of crest above the eye there. But I think you have Ceratosaurus for the arms, but I think that would be the head. Ceratosaurus had a really thick head, really short and stubby though. At the
Okay.
same
Oh,
time.
Ceratosaurus. Somebody has a Ceratosaurus here. We gave him out. Was the first prize. Oh yeah, Captain America. This guy. What does Ceratosaurus sound like again? That's pretty impressive. So I can see why they would want to put Ceratosaurus in there if they're going for the louder expression of it. So yeah, well, actually, just before we're gonna finish up with some Q&A. So if you have any questions, you can ask the expert. That's her, and me, the enthused layman who just tries to make up the numbers. But before we go in there, I just thought what I thought was kind of I talked about feathers and how Jurassic World got rid of feathers, but they were kind of sneaky and clever. Because look at Indominus Rex, right? Check him out. He's got a few feathers on his arm there. It's kind of like they did as an in-joke to say, well, maybe if the real dinosaurs don't have feathers, but we'll make up a dinosaur, give it feathers, just to annoy people. So I guess in a way, like it's seen as a big dumb blockbuster, but there's a lot going on in behind it. It's actually a little bit smarter than it lets on to be, I think. So that's pretty much a brief prehistory of dinosaurs at the movies. So thanks for coming out. But so now we're just going on to Q&A. If you want to ask any questions about, there's a hand there. I'll get you. You can be first up.
I saw online that there was a couple of T-Rex fossils found together, small and basically loads of different sizes. And the paleontologist that said that who found them said they might have been in a pack. Do you think T-Rex is hunted in packs? And he said the smaller ones were just to harass the prey to run, and then the bigger ones were for crushing the prey.
Yeah, so we mentioned earlier about the T-Rex living in family groups, and we said that an Allosaurus one was found, and yes, 12 is the number. Well done for you remembering, because I was just guessing it. So Allosaurus is related to the T-Rex, so they're in kind of the same family. They're just like a cat and a tiger are related, but they're not the same thing. So like that. So they're still cats. There's one small, one's big. So definitely they would have. There's no way of really knowing how they kind of acted though in the group, so we can't really tell if the young ones went in and harassed the prey and the big ones went in and chased it down. So we can only guess that, unfortunately. But we can't. But yeah, we can't really say for sure.
Well, yeah, I suppose of course we can never know for sure, but I suppose it does kind of seem like a good idea. I mean, because the bigger T-Rexes probably weren't as quick, so if they had the small ones run around and distract them for a while, they could maybe sneak up on them and get that crushing bite that we all know and love and finish the job.
Yeah, if we look at kind of how lions work, I mean, the parents will do all the work and then they'll let the babies come up and eat it. So it kind of helps the survival of the